Hello, how y'all doing? I decided to do a video today about my novel Bibles because I recently watched a workshop on story Bibles, and story Bibles always kind of scared me. So I was like, okay, kind of scared me, so I watched it, and then I realized that everything that went into the story Bible I already had in here. In my novel bullet journals that I set up ages ago, so I thought I'd go through and show you how I have them set up. Now, each of them is different because they start at different phases. This is my apocalypse story. It was started at the very beginning. It's not even filled up because I have since shelved that story. So this will give you an idea what the layout is. This one is my Reaper story. And this one I created when I was in the middle of the 4th or 5th draft, so it doesn't have the outline like this one has. So we're going to start with this one here so you get an idea of what they look like. So like I said, this is the apocalypse story that I wrote the first draft to and never actually finished editing or anything like that because it's got a lot of world building in it and it kind of scared me, and I don't think I'm ready for that. So here's the first page, the title page. And then here I had a list of characters that were all in the story that popped up. And as they popped up in the first draft, I kind of wrote their names down and who they were so I can keep track of everybody. Over here is their biographies, which you can see is not filled out. And what I would do is I have their names, sometimes their ages, their background story, their internal conflict, what they're fighting inside themselves, and their external conflict, what they're fighting in the world. And then over here, I would have their arc, how they start out, where they're heading, and where they're going, what the end price is going to be. Christelle, Brass, and then I had put out anything for the other characters. My next tab would be the locations tab, and I would have descriptions of all the locations. Like I said, this was not filled out at all because I've shelved the whole thing, but I kept the book. But yeah, I would have descriptions. You could print out pictures, research. These were your websites and notes and stuff would go if you needed to keep track of all that. The outline opening. Now, when I did this story, I was using Story Genius. I was reading Story Genius, and I was using this story as my guinea pig for using Story Genius's way of outlining a story. So that's why you have the opening image, catalyst, and debate here, all on this page. And then the next one is the alpha point, the subplot, subplot B. Basically, in Story Genius, you have the main plot and you have 2 subplots. And each scene that you do, you have to have, let me see, a cause, what's going on in the scene, and what does it affect in every single scene. And this really got detailed. Every single one, as you can see, the plot, the cause, the whole shebang. And that was it. Before you even start, let me see if I can read it, with a Story Genius, you have to flesh out the character's why. You have to write an entire background. That's not it. Story Genius, Apocalypse, why do you care? The first principle, all of it. You have the what if, what do you see? You have to go through all of this. If you are looking for a book that will help you really flesh out your story and your characters and what is going on in that story, I would suggest reading Story Genius. It's a really good but very long-winded if you do the exercises, but a really good book. So anyways, yeah, that's what I have. Research in here is the characters, the locations, the research, which obviously was not filled out, and the outline of the story. And then the next would have been editing notes. The little notes we leave each other. We leave ourselves, right? Anyways, and then I would go chapter by chapter and write down things that I want to change, where I want to change them, if I wanted to change anything. The other things I would have added in here, this is just a little sticky note I made, is how the government works in this post-apocalyptic age, map of the world, creatures in this polluted world because the entire earth was polluted was bombed and destroyed, and obviously that does things to the wildlife, how the masks work, how the remaining humans have managed to survive, and the disease, what happens when you take your mask off. And of course the rest of this is completely empty, but that's the gist of my story Bible, my bullet journal story Bible, is how I laid all that out. And I'll give you a little bit more. Now, this is my Reaper story. This is the one that I'm trying to get published, and this one I have been working on for 5 years. So, this is far more fleshed out than my Apocalypse story that I shelved, and you'll see that here in a minute. Again, do the thing. Get it open. This was I did a time tracker. I was trying to see how long I worked on rewriting each day, and this was obviously a long ass time ago, and so I obviously didn't fill that out. But my chapter progress, which ones have been outlined, this you can write down. You can put which ones were outlined, revisioned, finished, all that. And then here's my list of characters. And again, this is what it's actually supposed to look like. This is the main character. This is her backstory, what she wants, how old she is. You can even go into what her powers are. Her arc is on the back here, beginning to end, and then the same with the other characters. All pretty much filled out, except for their arcs. I think I stopped using this at some point, and then transferred everything to Scrivener. But yeah, so that's the characters. This is a list of locations where they all go, and then the locations. I have all these locations pictured in my computer, and I meant to print out pictures to put in here, and plus I have them in Scrivener because, like I said, all this information I wound up moving to Scrivener anyways. So there's all that. All of that. There's my research, my websites, my inspiration for small towns, my inspiration for the Grim Reaper, spells, yada yada yada, my word count. I don't know what I was doing there, but there's that. And then these are my chapter by chapter notes. I think, like I said, this was like the 4th or 5th draft. And I had taken notes from beta readers and my own notes that I needed to change. Things that people liked, people didn't like. Yeah, all of that. And then I'll show you all of that. But you're getting the idea. But of course, it doesn't have the outline like this one did because, well, I started in 4th or 5th draft. But you could put the outline and the editing notes. This is the timeline that I created, and then other things that I could add in here. It'd be like maps of the towns, the family trees, the hierarchy of the whole Reaper system, the magic systems in this world, because each individual Reaper has his own is powerful in his own. They all do the same thing, but they all have their specialties. And of course the outlines and other world building stuff. So this bullet journal is not that different. And then back here, these things have pockets, so you can keep all your other notes, loose leaf notes. But yeah, the bullet journal is not that different from the actual story Bible. It's more complicated because you can't take things in and out and remove it. You kind of have to just tear it out like I did with that one page and shove it in the back, or you can tape over it. You can do tape extra pages in where you need them. But yeah, those are my bullet journal story Bibles that I use whenever I'm creating a series or whenever I'm working on a series and I just need an outline of where to go and what to do. And this was the first one I made. I wanted to test it out and see how it worked. I really liked it. I liked how it came out, and so that's what I was going to do with this one. But like I said, I have since shelved this project, and if I ever did another novel, like a full-on novel piece, and I wanted to outline everything, I would do practically the same thing. I might use a different outline method, but I would still grab a bullet journal and outline everything in here. So anyways, yes, that's my video for the day. That is my system for outlining and plotting and editing and everything else. And until next time, bye!